Rero, Yede Jabonde, Sanji, Kendo, Mide, Boy, Rokinanda, Kima, Shabra, Sho, Yedam, Guru, Andala, Kania, Daya, Ye, Sanji, Chedon, Zoji, Chonam, Shankyo, Bantu, Dane, Shosuji, Nage, Gigi, Sonam, Dora, Benja, Sanji, Dobar, Sho, Sanji, Chedon, Zoji, Chonam, Shankyo, Bantu, Dane, Shosuji, Dage, Gigi, Sonam, Dora, Benja, Sanji, Dobar, Sho, Sanji, Chedon, Zoji, Chonam, Shankyo, Bantu, Dane, Shosuji, Dage, Gigi, Sonam, Dora, Benja, Sanji, Dobar, Sho. 오늘 마지막에 기타다니 비신기 탐지시 때도 도자라나메 방향다고 저기 산지지 공부하면 이제는 토브라샤 대체도 담배 최여는 뭐지 세냐 비고노산 유지 셈지 제 셈비 권는 셈브리쇼.
We must all strive to accomplish complete enlightenment for the sake of liberating infinite, kind, mother sentient beings. It's for that reason we cultivate the altruistic motivation or bodhicitta motivation, and with that kind of motivation we should participate in this teaching.
Okay. Okay, come over here. Oh, yeah. Honest. Tang around the Tomalog. Same Hiawatang. That same Hiawatang. That same Jibotang. That devil yeti kang. Around Tomalog telling the we are was.
I believe that all of us are same in that we are seeking peace of mind, happy mind, and mental relaxation.
So the inaya, then around the Tomalolata, and they ran a guiak, double the chibo, that lebot, and they never say any, that Dilatsavo, Dungi Mangbo, and they die, and they come and they be tall, and they be remambling as and tall.
Even though that is what we are all seeking, peace, happiness, and relaxation within our mind, but in reality, so to speak, we find ourselves, very, busy in doing so many things, and our life is really caught up in hustle and bustle activities, and we also experience all kinds of problems and pains that we do not wish to have. So what we really need to do is, we are not really getting what we are seeking, at least in the moment. What we are seeking is peace, happiness, and mental relaxation. But what we find ourselves caught up with is, hustle and bustle, kind of life, and running into a lot of unwanted pains and problems. So what we really need to do in this kind of situation is find out what are the underlying causes, of all these things happening to us and in our life. So as we investigate the underlying causes of the situations we find ourselves in and the things happening in our life, Of course, we cannot look outwardly as if the causes are existing outside, just like we could just go and pinpoint it, like over there, look at that mountain, or look at that, structure or the building. The underlying causes of our life experiences are to be found within ourselves, in our mind.
Single told those on the Donizani, Ranga Simtel, young Manda, Simtel Manda, Mamukiers. I did but Shevina gave us and I gave same me, Duxini, yours. However, Hagogres.
So what I just said is this, that the underlying causes of our experiences are to be found within our own mind. So mind is a world in itself, if you will. Mind is not just a phenomenon. Mind is of different kinds. And so we need to understand what mind is and what are the different types of mind and how our mind operates or functions. Broadly stated, we find two types of mind within us: positive state of mind and negative state of mind.
So that Jean Minde Rick the Shonsati, that the Nigani, Ganesh to Tadutani, that Migi. Symptom missionaries, Miguel, that's Simiki, Shelley Latin missionaries.
Now, when we try to investigate from where do all the unwanted pains and problems in our life come from, then we could see that they come from our negative state of mind and the functioning or the operation of negative state of mind.
Ta ran debo the kibota ta kanjigan re any lebota tenzu ta ran libi chakari in a 30 shows that any sim nijin and gave symptom shown yours.
On the contrary, the peace of mind, whatever peace of mind we experience, and happy mind and well-being and all these good things that we experience in our life, they arise from positive state of mind and its functioning or operation.
Time me give you something. Time me give you something. Ta tendi tunjuk del ani semke nangya de sin ya go sen tam manra mane nangke ani semke ta kese ta ni suite manjo de sin na kira ya go res.
So the point I'm trying to make here is that it would be really very beneficial if we study our mind and if we learn more about what mind is, what are the different types of mind or states of mind, and how do they function, and the interaction between different types of states of mind.
No, so that's me give you something. Can it check your Maranzol dunge treya the kande ta shele kande chi thon shigures na ta tikhe gores.
How do the negative states of mind function and they bring us unwanted pain and problems. Now that's what we need to find out.
Ta ale shitan ta those nor divina ani shinki lo yising in Nausinta, lo shinki lo zinking, shinki lo yiking those in Tang in Chevres.
Generally stated, we can talk about four misconceptions or distorted perceptions in Tibetan called Chinji Lok Shi, four distorted or perverted states of mind.
That the Garisana Matsawal someone that Taguaris, Ali Geshe.
Now, what are the four misconceptions or distorted, conceptions we have within us? Number one, we have a distorted perception of, seeing that which is impure as being pure.
다 아니 대화를 같이 동해를 다 대화 증거를.
And another misconception or distorted perception we have is seeing that which is actually, what called misery or suffering as, happiness. And another misconception we have is seeing that which is, impermanent or transitory as permanent. And then the fourth misconception or distorted perception that we have is seeing that which is selfless as being, self-existent.
다 된디가 땅게 쉐바 tel라니 시줄로 쉐바센 전에 록히스거 다 록베 쉐바스 먼저 다 먼저 아젠 록베 쉐바들다 된디 만다 이거 됐어.
So those four what are called the conceptions or the perceptions are called distorted or wrong perceptions or misconceptions.
So that 맞짱을 짱와 그래서 나라속에 단데 짱만 지게서 짱리 베지 지야데 코웨네라 다 코웨네가 왜 짱마다 안 짐바도 짱마다 될 얘기야 말이지.
So how is that? We perceive something that is, not pure, or that is something impure as being pure, or that which is, to put in a very plain language, that which is really dirty as being, clean. Now we all are in the samsara, cyclic existence. So all the things that we find in samsara are really not pure, but we somehow see them as being pure or consider as them being clean. So what is really making us, see that which is not pure or clean as being pure and clean? What is the mechanism, if you will, that could explain our distorted perception in this case, is that because of our attachment, deluded attachment that we're talking about, we are not able to see reality as it is, and due to attachment, being attached to the things in samsara, we don't see their true nature, which is impure, but see them as just the opposite, being pure and clean and pristine.
다 메타팔라 타버진에 땡다 나라서 네 kimbi시거스 가르에서나 나라서 배다 주르고제 파데가 상노 땅니 아니 차다몬스 텔라테니 라솔 차 예솔 다야타 아니 다 텐디게 아니 레 멤바 망보치 다 메타팔 타버 땅진지 왕게 된 텐디 레 멤바 망보치 사거요 레스테자 나라서 메타바 임발타 메타바 임바 하마고 베시 타번진이 텔라테미다 디바 사거요 레스.
And another distorted perception or misconception that we have, I mentioned already to you in the list, is seeing that which is impermanent as being permanent. And so this is basically, as we think about ourselves and our life, we grasp at the permanence of life and things. So that's why, deep down within us, we plan to live here as if forever. And so when that is the state of mind or attitude we have towards our life, so then other forms of delusions arise because we plan to live forever, and so now we we experience attachment in relation to those who we consider as near and dear ones. We dislike and hate those who we consider as our enemies. And so now we are very biased and discriminated against sentient beings. And as a result of all these biased and negative attitudes or states of mind, that we accumulate a lot of negative karma, negative karmic actions.
Nika good dewachi yorba. That's a daily any pay Garanjota. The Unishin Duni Chagers. Kowe neg Devotan, Kibo Kandichi in at the Jui Duni Chagers, Jui Dungo. Tambo any dewachi imbalatati, Devate Duni all Panjugers.
And now let me explain a little bit our distorted perception or conception of seeing that which is misery or suffering as happiness or pleasure. How is that? If you ask, is that all the pleasures or what we call happiness we find in samsara or cyclic existence in reality are not true happiness. They are a form of pain or suffering. So that's why what we call happiness that we experience in samsara is very temporary. It doesn't last forever. And then it pretty much changes into suffering. All the pleasures and what we consider happiness in samsara, momentarily they seem to be pleasurable and happiness, but then they soon change into unhappiness and their displeasure. So this is what we call suffering of a change.
Yes. Ani chama botung ta tambo tunzande kona tibo yajrete inate ani te sone anta antende kite dunge ma boyung do wastega na yigechi tamana go tingene do zo tambo de pe konungene ki 기본적으로 차고여도 얘네한테 다 대제들 안다 그래서 동해 기분이 차는 거 왔어. 다가 나 얘기지. 당하는서 애네 다 우리 거에 내를 다 대보 간데 지나 때 달리 당보 때 대보를 주어도 이네 때때 대외고 그래서 대화때 동해 그 거는 줘야 될 레라고 지 주고요. 스타트 kan지. 소자 대화때 그래서 아래 대화때 동해는 지서 단 진단 동서래서.
I just want to give two examples to illustrate my point here. People who take drugs. Well, when they do drugs, for a while they might feel kind of high and just floating somewhere, and looks like life is really pretty cool and good and smooth. But then all the problems are related with use of drugs. When you're addicted to drugs, your life pretty much becomes just very destructive and very painful life. And also take a thing in terms of alcoholic drinks. While at the beginning it seems like it is refreshing and it's kind of nice to have a few drinks, but then once you drink more, and especially get addicted to that, then alcohols kick up so many problems that we all know. So whatever pleasures or what we might even think happiness that we derive from drinking alcohol or doing drugs or doing other things, in reality are not real happiness, but they are a form of suffering. And so this is what's happening to us in samsara. What we really think is happiness is not really happiness, because everything we experience, the pleasures they are very momentary. They easily change into suffering. And that change, that change indicates that that what we consider happiness in samsara is not real happiness.
That Tenzin that Dharma that they do hears. Then I answer that Trubatan Yamers, that Trubata Rangis Trubasem, that Dina, that you rush into 10 times. Dharma that Tene, that Rana Chani, or that Zimson, that Truban Zimson, that Rana Chani, and that Rangale and Peta, Nikavita. Nika without Dewadri at the Dick Shed, and that Divam which is such in Teletin Jungo Richester, Tambo Naki Dala Hins, and Dag and Dichinguela chats in the war. Just that the days torn any Junguaris.
And we also have the distorted conception or perception of seeing that which is selfless as being self-existent. Now this is, as a matter of fact, the worst of the four distorted conceptions or misperceptions or wrong views that we have. In reality, including the self, nothing exists in and of itself or objectively, independently, and we will soon talk more about this. That brings the case how things are, but somehow we grasp at the inherent existence of phenomena, and so due to that, we are very much attached to self, and so because of that grasping, self-grasping, and attachment to self, that we end up doing many negative karmic actions or the wrong actions in order to bring about certain pleasures, to self, or fulfill selfish goals or interests, and so we need to understand that self does not exist in and of itself, but we misconceive it to exist in that fashion or the mode, and as a result we are very much attached to it, we are very protective of it, and we find ourselves indulging in many negative karmic actions.
So that Tenzin Dorjee Yantabi any touching Kimalo Ranjuli Shia Tapti, Karita Takul Hojushin, Chuflojushin, the Tony Yungo Yoris.
So in order to understand misconceptions and distorted perceptions such as the four major ones which I very briefly explained to you, which exist within our own mind, and in order to find antidotes to counteract them, to subdue them and to get rid of them for good, where else can we find those techniques or the methods to do that except from Dharma or spirituality? So that's why spirituality or Dharma becomes very important to us and in our life, because Dharma teaches us about these misconceptions which exist within us and how to identify them and how to counteract them and get rid of them.
Dawaki Nin thinking that one hit the tuba to the younger tuba, lock hit the lock his lock carriage. That lock the Dawaki Nin of the dream got banner, me here, merely showing you that make Hevala showing, make one more than showing center, you have the true younger. So that the Dawaki Matuyama dinner, take me tongue to what. Then Nagi Garazo, Ranjuli Yepe, and Ada Ranjuli opinion of Tazokata, the Mabel Yavata, that and they paid not to chamber your tongue. That's a thing as a shabshaggers.
it's really very important for us to educate ourselves about these distorted perceptions which we have, or the misconceptions which exist within us, and learn about the ways or the methods with which we can deal with them and counteract them and get rid of them from within our mind. Otherwise, our life is, as long as our life is, if you will, grounded in these distorted perceptions or the wrong perceptions, well, things will always go wrong. And we will, continuously face problems and suffering in our life. There are all kinds of distorted perceptions, if you will. We can talk about sensory distortions. The Tibetan term is called lokshe. Lok means seeing the wrong thing, wrong perceptions. For example, if we have a certain defect with our visual faculty, so as a result, we might see that there are two moons, which in reality there's only one moon. But looking at that one moon, people with visual distortion could see two moons, which that perception does not accord with the actual reality, because there's only one moon. So like that, due to those four distorted perceptions that I just briefly explained to you, that we don't see the actual realities. And so we need to deal with, counteract our distortions to be able to see realities as they are.
So that rang same tall, that is same Nisu dan same Rotan the Hev the Kitchenbuji, that children is a kitchen.
So for us spiritual practitioners or Dharma practitioners, it becomes very important to study our mind and investigate how our mind is functioning and what kind of distortions exist, and how due to those distorted perceptions, we do not see reality as they are, because there is a disparity between the way things exist and the way we perceive them to exist, because those are two different things. When our perceptions do not match with the way in which reality exists, then we got a problem. There is a distortion. And so when our perceptions do not match with the realities, then we run into many issues and problems.
Kanga in the single told Taki, I was shaving and it don't get into say tap chimbo Yahweh is that you would understand.
Well, everyday life, I think often it happens that, we get upset with somebody because, we perceive that person to be problematic in certain way. Maybe in reality, that person, does not have that problem, but due to our own distorted perception, we may see things going wrong in somebody else. And so due to our distorted perception, then we can see how so many issues can come up between us and that other person or those other people, and the whole relationships are negatively affected by our own misperceptions or distorted perceptions. So that's what I'm talking about. We need to study Dharma in order to understand misconceptions which exist within us, not without, not outside. So once we understand the misconceptions existing within us, now we also have to find the antidotes or the methods within our mind to be able to counteract them and to be able to get rid of them.
That dealing rang shebel rang closure shen rang takche shegurmato junzi that they be going shegurmato tagachi sig labat.
So when I talk about really we need to study our mind, investigate and understand our mind, I mean that we really need to take this seriously, and it is through education. We have to learn about our mind, as it is with all other things. And so it's not enough just to follow the words. That seems to be the case. To be able to develop confidence and certainty in our understanding, we really need to be able to, we need to understand the matters clearly and deeply, and we need to understand what are the authentic reasons why things should be the way they are and how we misperceive them. So based on sound understanding and reasonings and investigation analysis, we are able to develop certainty in our understanding of things happening within us and also outside in our mind.
Rang the same to my son of Tani, Yen no do not take ya. A penny do not take kind of hour, sheds out the league Tony, that Garasegurata. The league to some Tony, I wonder was.
So when we talk about cultivating Dharma or practicing Dharma or following Dharma in everyday life, it involves a lot of thinking. Okay? It involves understanding. So we need to find out what are the harmful states of mind that we have. Due to them, we harm others or we might harm ourselves. And what are the positive states of mind or the beneficial states of mind which we need to cultivate, which bring goodness to both self and others. And so that's what that's practice means in everyday life. We look at our mind and find out what we are thinking. Is that a harmful thinking or a proper thinking? If it's harmful, to self or others, we should stop it right there or counteract it. But if it's something beneficial and positive, then we cultivate it and we let it motivate us to benefit others.
That thing, Tony, when some Tani, and the Ranta Yin doing it today, you here. And it doing it with time rank shit to some of that, to make some donor, and here I have risk.
So, the first thing first is, we try to, see that we don't do anything that is harmful to others or as well as to self. So we look at our mind and see, are there any negative thoughts arising which could cause us to harm self and others? And then additionally, we also need to cultivate the positive states of mind, such as compassion. Right? Compassion arises from understanding suffering of others and wishing them to be free from suffering and its causes. So when we cultivate compassion, let it arise in our mind and let it rule our mind, if you will, so that what we do is something that is beneficial to others.
So that day in the Tarangan tomorrow. That Changba may be another Tomalo, some Tensor Toyota, and they chair to Hubins.
So what I have, talked about this morning is something I thought very, beneficial, and all of us should, think about. When I talk about these things, as I always tell you, I include myself in the audience. I'm also speaking to myself. That as much as I tell you these are the things, you should do, I'm also telling myself that I should do these things. So we all need to pay attention to these matters.
That cousin, the teaching in my shoes.
And I'll go back to where we left off in the text last week.
That and then trying to some of the Haku, teaching Haku, if I teach the Kangan the Haku is mad. And drum timbers and drum tin, Jerry and Johnny sing it. Drum timber, and it shall just like drum timber, and it Pepe, Nani, and Tanda. So
remember that Domtemba, one of the great disciples of Adisha, asked a question to his teacher. I don't know how many of you know about Domtemba's life story. Just to introduce him to you, especially to the new people. Domtemba was, a very down-to-earth, humble layperson who existed in the 11th century, and as much humble and as he looked, he was also considered as one of the previous incarnations, similar to the present Dalai Lama.
So that don't temper that a teacher that really better. A teacher says told you listen.
So Domtemba was, one of the principal disciples, if not the principal disciple of Adisha. Of course, Domtemba is a Tibetan.
That Kongia and it, Yami Georgia George Hubris.
So Domtemba asked Adisha, his teacher, a question.
That Tawati Kardisna, they had that Tawati Ranchu Alitambo. Che Tamji, Che Tangi Tartu Karreski, but
So Domtemba asked Adisha, what is the ultimate Dharma? Because we talk about all kinds of Dharma, and he asked him, what is the ultimate Dharma?
Tanganzi Kang Yangus, Yabu Yangus. The only Karisana Che, Tang Lane and Dusre, Che Tamji Tartu, but only Tony Niji Nibuti in Scandal.
And we all need to pay really close attention to Adisha's answer. Adisha said, the ultimate Dharma is that of emptiness characterized by compassion.
That depends that the category. Don't be touch. Don't be done. Any category. He came on you. So in other
words, what Adisha is saying is that the ultimate Dharma is an integration of the wisdom gone beyond, or the wisdom realizing emptiness as it is, along with a great compassion. Although it is not enumerated in the text here, but we can talk about three types of great compassion. One, great compassion, that simply, pays attention to or focuses on sentient beings.
Now, another great compassion is called great compassion that focuses on impermanent and or selfless sentient beings. Now, these two types of great compassion are different from one another, epistemologically speaking. Why? Because in the first case, it is called great compassion merely focusing on sentient beings. The term merely, what it really indicates is that, we are not characterizing sentient beings as being impermanent or selfless, just simply focusing on sentient beings. But in this later case, great compassion, now it focuses on sentient beings characterized by impermanence and selflessness. Senki Matabi Chepra says that Chepra says that the Intikarjavan Chantinilla. Nimbatele Niki Kimbo Yimbala Senji le Mudusani, Matabi Chapter Shane, Senji some Maipe, Dele Aneta, Matabi Chapter Shane Mudioris.
So in the second case of the great compassion, as one cultivates, if you will, that great compassion to and for sentient beings, one sees sentient beings as being transient or impermanent. So that is the characterization. Sentient beings are not simply perceived in a very generic sense, but are perceived as being impermanent.
다 숨바든 되네. 아니 세계 다 다음에 비춰보시는데 동반이지 채버드先生등도 아니 될라 세계 다음에 비춰보시先生그 동이선은 등도 미가 될라 아니 그래서 그런다 최람의 비행기스.
And then the third great compassion is focusing on sentient beings as being characterized by emptiness or selflessness. So this is technically called great compassion focusing on phenomenon.
Dela ani subatele 당보들의 생기 잠을 미빙hinge 니바들의 생기 마다비 처벌치니 미빙hinge 아니 숨바들 다 숨바들 아니 생기니 다 다음에 비춰보시는 내가도 생기 다음에 비춰보시는 미바들 아니 최람이 비행기였어요.
So let me run through the three types of great compassion. The first one is simply called great compassion merely focusing on sentient beings. And the second one is called great compassion focusing on impermanent sentient beings. Now in this case, sentient beings are characterized by impermanence. The third great compassion is called great compassion focusing on phenomenon. What does that mean is great compassion focusing on sentient beings characterized by emptiness or selflessness.
다 단단 내 교회다 돈이 힘이 힘보지 있어야다 숨바 단단 힘이 숨바대 아니 미미라미 힘이 있어야 다 되잖아요.
So the answer that Adisha has given to Dhamma's question is where he says that ultimate Dharma is emptiness combined with compassion. So we're talking about the third type of great compassion, which I think which is called, let me correct my translation. I said it's called compassion focused on phenomenon. No, it's called compassion focused on that which is unapprehendable. So to use the technical term, it's called the great compassion focusing on unapprehendability. Unapprehendability refers to selflessness or emptiness characterizing sentient beings.
진짜 다된 다 전화성 예버리 채우르 hingi 짬당 hingi 첨번이 제바디 채우르스 되게 알았어.
It is important for us to be able to distinguish between compassion and great compassion.
다 니한테 다 랑젤 hingi 짬보 되어야 되는데 이는 hingi 첨보대 고난설 단다 두지를 총구해야 세야 말이야.
Shravakas and Pratika Buddhas, or hearers and solitary realizers, they do cultivate compassion, and many of them do have compassion for others, but they do not have yet great compassion.
다 어디니 가래서는 미베 제발 건 양을 이게 다 이게 전부 왔다 이 친구니 제발 미베 건 양을 그래서.
So we differentiate between compassion and great compassion in terms of, not so much in terms of the subjective experience, but in terms of the objective focus.
다 생기점에서 생기 체매 발을 먹으려 그랬어. 이게 체매세가 되는 이게 체매세가 그날 저 두줄 옆에 얘랑 그 두줄 옆에 이게들 이게 체매세가 그랬어. semje mugu semje the tse zone the mabajin muyorte yena semje tamjil mugyo mares josa ni tseme chagres.
Compassion that Shirvakas and Paticca Buddhas cultivate is also often referred to as limitless compassion. Limitless in the sense that their compassion is extended to limitless number of sentient beings. Basically, like, you cannot count those number of sentient beings. But that limitless compassion is not the same as great compassion or Mahakaruna.
So that is that Shanju Semba to Julie Yebe. She is a man to that. Take what you were king, Julie, that's in Jimmy Shanju Semba Yamari. Take what you were that King Julia Bishop, that he was that, till any was a Saint Tom Jill, Saint Tema Ballet Slapways. Saint Tom Jill may be needed to let any chambers do cigarettes.
Whereas great compassion or Mahakaruna is that which is cultivated by practitioners of Mahayana Buddhism or Bodhisattva's way of life. And also Bodhisattvas do have great compassion. Now great compassion, is focused on all sentient beings without exception. So focusing on all sentient beings is more than focusing on a countless number of sentient beings.
Tawana Nirang Tujila and Niji Chamber maybe any Jose career, Sustumbre. Jose career that traditional that he cared lay yours.
Okay, now if somebody asks, and how can you say that Shirvakas and Paticca Buddhas or hearers and solitary realizers have, compassion, but not great compassion? I mean, who said that? And what evidence do you have? We could ask those questions, right?
That telling you arrest called Junseta Lung Niga.
Well, we could, back off the claim, with scriptural quotation as well as valid reasoning.
That Junse Carresena, Ane Niji Chimbo Ranjule Steva in Ane Hiwi Devala Yin, take Kevin Kavashin to Yuyamaris.
Okay, let me first give you the valid reasoning why, Shirvakas and Paticca Buddhas, they don't have great compassion yet. Okay, as Shirvakas and Paticca Buddhas, they could have compassion, which is called limitless compassion, but not great compassion. So what good reason, authentic reasoning do we have? Here's the reason. That if they have great compassion, they will not get trapped in the solitary peace of nirvana for eons and eons. Because great compassion, if you will, saves one from falling into the extreme of solitary peace of nirvana. But they are stuck. The arahats or the arahants of hearers and solitary realizers vehicles, they are stuck in the peace of nirvana, which is called solitary peace, because they do not have yet great compassion. Now that is the valid reasoning to back up the claim.
Ane tateni kabe padu sosu hiwi devala yin hiya kata san san yam pen sangi sama ane chuni hiwi devala yin ya ke something ta teni yuare te yin ya teni ane tu yin yu ya ma kare sangi dungu na chutile zine ta kiji ji yin ya sangi dungu teni ya tan ya ke ta thapi nan te mato sosu ane ran changba hiwi devala yin teni yu ya ma.
Well, I mean, if they were to have great compassion, meaning that they wish all sentient beings to be free from suffering in these causes, then they cannot. In the first place, they will not seek just nirvana or liberation for their own sake, and they cannot get stuck in the solitary peace for eons and eons and enjoy that peace and happiness only for themselves, because When we look at the Bodhisattvas who cultivate great compassion, every moment is precious for them to benefit sentient beings. They cannot afford to lose any moments getting stuck in some nirvana or peace just for their own sake and happiness, and then forget about sentient beings who are suffering. See, there is no time to lose, there's no moment to lose when it comes to benefiting sentient beings. So when you get stuck in solitary peace of nirvana, yes, you have great happiness, you have great peace. Well, you are not doing anything for sentient beings. You are stuck.
So that long career is na Java Shamba go Tenzin Dorjee to be jail. Ninji Shelam ne thanks. Ninji Chibaranjule that do you know? Nishi develop in Mares can Ninji Shelam ne thanks. And Shepe Silam Nishi. Don't you to be Sheranjule Shebina and the Sintale Negmares, simply is don't you to be Sherik any Sintale. That's Sintale Dogres can.
Okay, now I gave you the, authentic reasonings, to back up the claim that hearers and solitary realizers, even those who have realized nirvana, they do not have great compassion. They have limitless compassion only. Now, let me give you the scriptural authority of the quotes to back up my claim. Now, to answer the question, who said it? Well, according to Maitreya, in his ornament for clear realizations, or Abhisamaya Alangara, a very profound treatise respected by all Buddhists, this is what he said. And Geshe quoted the two profound lines from his memory. Maitreya said, Nyingje Shila Minetang. With compassion, meaning great compassion, you do not abide by the extreme of peace. So with great compassion, one cannot abide in the solitary peace of nirvana. And then Maitreya said, with wisdom, one does not abide in the extreme of samsara or sickly existence. So these are, spiritual authority quotes, which basically tell us that by cultivating the wisdom realizing emptiness, we can liberate or free ourselves from samsara or cyclic existence. So therefore, we do not abide in samsara. By cultivating great compassion, we do not, seek and get trapped in the solitary peace of nirvana. Yes. And now Adisha gives an example to support his answer.
Me pau chitup shawas that me the cantina ne tangi neri tangi gom nungi me jere takaji ne tamje nyembor draw tik yeba hinsa that ne tangi nyembor draw ki ta me that chachi bu chibishi yeba hinas ane da tina pete yindosta ane me pau chitup tab 동반이지 아니 동반이 돈이 도 헤르던데 돈이 도 헤르때 다내 단지 기념 보러게 매 pau chitup 나이지 레스가나 버리 제가 가래서 메인되게 아니 내 단지 기념 보러 녀보러니 매버서 나기 그 동반이 헤르더란지 돈도 헤르란지 셰베게나 녀모 단지 매버서네 다 장마서 그래서 어떻게 가능도와
The example Atisha uses is, he said, let's imagine that there is a panacea, that cures all the sicknesses in the whole universe. Well, provided that there is such a medicine, then, all the sicknesses in the world will not be there anymore. They will all be gone, cured. In the same way, the wisdom realizing emptiness as it is, shunyata or sunnata as it is that panacea with which we can uproot all delusions from within our mind and we are completely liberated.
먼저 쇼발의 웨스트린 된 리어베스.
Geshe wants me to ask you, is there any medicine that is called panacea in the Western medicine? The kind of medicine that cures all kinds of sicknesses.
Do you have? No, not yet. That one is painkillers in Kingdom.
So what about those painkillers you talk about?
대 말했어. 그래서 DNA never so never into your marriage. 그 내가 그 나서 때 까외르마도 그 내도 never so 두면 도 왔을 때 저런 하고 그러었을 때.
Well, I don't think painkiller is that panacea, because what a painkiller does it only kills the pain but not the sickness. So you still need to deal with the sickness. It just temporarily relieves you of that pain.
Stop the pain only temporarily. Right?
No.
Honest. That 근데 지금 매지 요래 다 요되어래 다. 아니 당원주게 세계나 렌치를 보세요. 아 대 인생을다.
I think Tibetan probably when doctors would claim that Tibetans have different levels of what we call precious pills, medicine, and there is one kind of precious pill which they think is like a panacea, that cures all kinds of sicknesses.
다양 cancer that they never so to resna they hamogoda.
Well, then if you ask, okay, would that work with the cancer or AIDS or something like that, then I really don't know.
다 간지 근데 그 당 간지 답변은 여빙이 났다. 아니 내 단지 매번 저거도 여러 봤어. 근데 나 이게 다 된다 땡에 봐 근데 지금 알았어. 알았어. 돈이 또 비켜라는 게 세배이나 명문비 내 단지 매번 저 두고 알았다.
Well, anyway, we put in a conditional tense. If there were to be a panacea, then that would have taken care of all the sicknesses. Likewise, while that example may or may not exist, okay, that is not much of a big deal. But wisdom realizing emptiness as it is, now that is, in reality, panacea to all the delusions within our mind, because that wisdom can destroy, uproot all the delusions within our mind.
동반이 이제 따와대 떠버이나 아니 퀄리티를 아니 다 링이 좋아대 우리 퀄리티를 열었가는 다 알듯이는.
Well, if we realize emptiness as it is, then that liberates us from samsara.
손자 단데 디어스 돈이 따위 전주시 고바하마 대등이 있어. 아니 내기 맞다스 교도가 나래 아니 다 교도 열었어. 아니 돈반이 되는데기다. 문이식이나 아니 가르쳐 녀모비 예본 로케 당운이 테레스 이나야 다 yen다도 가르쳐나 안텔라데 돈이 또 공부 하마 되도 이제 돈이 또 헤르 란지를 쉐이 탑진 로아지레스.
As Geshe quoted the lines from his memory, it stated that it's stated by Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva in his Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, or we call Chunju, engaging in Bodhisattva deeds, that this is relating to the 16 attributes of the Four Noble Truths. Each truth has 4 attributes such as impermanence and emptiness. So Shantideva said, by realizing emptiness, this view of emptiness will liberate you or liberate us from samsara. The remaining meditation or the path, now there are remaining 15, right? So the realization or the understanding of the 15 attributes, remaining attributes, are just a complementary practices. They are there to facilitate, to orient us and facilitate, understanding and realizing emptiness.
다가 나이 그 파시 중도 와서 파시 중 나네 헤르지 파시 됐다 조 차거스 midnight 다 midnight 차거스 이나 잉아보데 아니 헤르지 파시데 토야 그 체도 다 돈이 좀 헤르랑 줄 셰비 털 로고야 다 두스레스
Just as the remaining 15 attributes of the Four Noble Truths are there to orient and facilitate understanding and realizing emptiness, in the same way, when we look at the six perfections or parameters, the perfection of wisdom is that which liberates us literally, but the remaining five perfections are auxiliary practices, if you will, or the complementary practices which orient and facilitate the development of the perfection of wisdom. So the perfection of wisdom is just like 20/20 eyesight, that you can see all the realities clearly.
야 저와기 야슈브레스 다 땅에 저와되게 저와 그러죠. 가르에서나 원나서 다 넘때 먹어야 주요하다. 원나 동반이 또 세워 군제세 차단 카마저다 짤라슈베세 다오나 힌드레세 아니 다 배우고 나라스 진짜 되게 배우고 나라와 동반이 또 바인서 또 여생이 망보 희부지 아니 얘네 내차다 해단다 때문에 갈단족 아니 배 님보다 좀 마세 차단게 카 맞아서 다 맞춘 산 마시면 되게 망보 긴도 어떻게 가르래서 야 휴버다.
So then Domdamba asked another question to Adisha, relating to that first question. So this is like a meta question, question on the question about. So that's what we call meta question. And Domdamba said, well, if emptiness is that which liberates us, then why is that? He must be referring to the people in Tibet at the time. He said, why is that there are so many who claim that they have realized emptiness, but their attachments and hatreds and angers and the delusions are not on decrease? So why is that?
다 되게 랜드다. 되게 랜드. 다 되게 등상 안 줘요. 다 잠빌링 그래서 네 나라 망보 요금도 왔. 되게 망보 요금도 왔어.
Well, this question is very relevant today, I think. Today there are many who might, claim like they are realized this or that, but then their delusions are on, rampant and not on decrease. So this question is very relevant to our time.
다음에 다들 랜드 그래서 조회 현에서 다 맞잖아. 대군라서 다들 생기도 좀 참아라서 다 대군 대대들 저거 등이 돈이 마도나 또여 생기도 좀 대군라서 대군 등 참아 카동도 소환 있어. 왜 카게 돈이 또버 있어. 카 해봐서 소환을 마도 돈이 또야마 돈이 또버 있나 차당 카 저거를 가는 거사. 맞춘도 그래서.
So when Domdamba asks, so if that is the case, meaning if emptiness liberates one from delusions and suffering, then why is that? There are so many who claim to realize emptiness, but their attachment and anger and delusions are not on decrease. Okay. Then Atisha answered, he said, well, so their claims are just empty words. Meaning that they did not realize emptiness. If they did realize emptiness, their delusions, should be on decrease and, should have been uprooted. So they're just making empty noises.
동반이제 그 샤마르 또 나서다 문이 존디 동반이 되도 또반이나스 류당아다 이수부터 아니 레벨 독배 넘바 나 용고스 레벨스 준비 독신들 때만 독신다 짝짝시면 나 차그레스 가는 거죠.
And Adisha gave an example where if you truly realize emptiness, your actions of body, speech, and mind will be very subdued. And he used example of how, like, if you press a cotton, right, it can be pressed really nicely. So like that, the realization of emptiness, metaphorically speaking, subdues or presses down all the, negative actions of body, speech, and mind.
됐다 아니 단도 빼드래 셰툴러 소망 슈로 인트로스
No.
다 저런데 두바끼고 말해요. 두바끼 별이는 두바끼서 너 약고 제면 두바디야 르용 그랬어.
No. And then, of course, he used another example, which probably, you will have no clue here because you don't make the kind of, porridge that we Tibetans make in Tibet. Because when you make a porridge, you have to watch your pot because they started to, rise. So then we have some substance to put into the porridge so that the porridge will not spill over. You see the pot. So that is an example I think I used again.
Marda.
No.
My choice didn't do yakwa man of the chant of the Jayana. Lumaris.
So the substance that Geshe was talking about is like, if you put like the butter or the meat and things like that, then the porridge, will not easily spill over.
Pen and Dereva. Heartburn second. Dele make sad for me such and go last up my never didn't like Chagaris.
That's like, Geshe maybe wants to use a modern example here, like people who have heartburn and they take, I don't know, tum-tum or tum-tum or whatever that medicine is. So, then that's supposed to take care. No more burning sensation. So like that, when you are boiling thukpa, porridge, if you put something into it, like a piece of meat or something, then for a while it does not spill over. It just, subsides.
That cog Atichak, then the iron dog longitan number. Lover iron Devi Hen is it? Lover iron dog, the scan on the wase. And then Che Namchis, Nilu, Domburn Dukam and Duk Yandu. Don't you tell Matonaya? Don't want you to turn the country, some do some of Tambasanjis, that Tessun Seba Sanjichan, Siba Super Rosumsta. And when it need to pay. That Siba Super and then Siba the Petsarik zone we can call no grace come to Kanams.
In order to highlight the importance of realizing emptiness, Adisha quoted the words of another Indian master called Arya Deva in the footnote, the main disciple of Arya Nagarjuna. So in his 400 stanzas on the middle path called Chatuk Shedak, Arya Deva said, forget about realizing emptiness as it is. If one were to, how should we say, if one were to positively speculate about what emptiness is, what it could be, even that kind of a speculation is so powerful that it can, shatter the world of samsara. It can kind of cause an earthquake, if you will, shake the world of samsara.
That then as a tender song chance that and the Atihimaka Marie, theTerikanang. Then as Tomba Niji, turn Shinji Malopa Gitona, and then may poach to Tabe race canams.
And then Adisha says, if one were to realize emptiness as it is, unmistakably, then that realization will, counteract and destroy all one's delusions. So then that realization would be like a panacea.
So that Chue Tangji Nimbusan do the corner, the Tombanichi, any the corner yours, don't do yours, corner yours, and do rest.
So the essence of phenomena, or maybe spirituality, is found within the realization of emptiness.
I think Jeromachek Dietamashazavala, Debapindo, Church, he cuts up a 10 years something you. They are young in the city can do music, kind of miss. Singing any quarter and so good don't really draw the young in many being young at that day. Go be cheddar, so much chatter and those that they any charangman that you changrest, those canando.
Great Tibetan master Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa or Rinpoche, in his praise to Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching, said, as Geshe quoted the stanza from his memory, Rinpoche praises Buddha, said, "O Master, whatever you have taught, everything has to do with dependent arising or pratit samutpat. Dependent arising is related with emptiness in the footnote. So in essence, what you did was everything you taught is meant for individuals to go beyond suffering, to find nirvana, and to experience peace. So that's how Lama Tsongkhapa praised in Shakyamuni Buddha for teaching emptiness.
다 내가 양이 다 다른 데가 인수라서 그 대표한테 기라하고 싶어. 저게 교회가 말마.
I think that will do for today, and we will stop there. And we have few prayer requests, and I also have announcements to make. Before that, I need to double check something with Geshe-la. cancer never did she switch the Uruguay. They get cancer the church of Susan, you again, they can't grow up. Chapter to go through. Then they don't Peter Druckers against Uruguay. Local Chukwara said that. Honey, Dine Nune Dima against Sarah Sugaroyang Joe. Then again, these shoes sometimes. How about to change the law? How about to change the style? How about to figure? Dina, that's Zalavani Cougar Dina. Because of Lambrim Chip at the one. Then Lamruki things in that day. Tating a Tagara Lamruki is in that thing. You have a change. No, I said, I think that love to hear the duck thing you got any legally to secure the Sonsa, transfer matter in date is a Gandhi has a trouble to pay or tiny make about Geshes. You are together again, choose a Qatar. Pinky and I choose the choosing our son taken. Navasan came to put him a Sagre again. Sagre. Snabbles and get top in your again. So, me, Chimmy, I will put Alano sons. Chimmy. And again, stop passing the young contact to something again. That the Quran. Okay, first I would like to make the announcement and then also convey you the prayer request. November 23rd, Wednesday, is a very auspicious day. It is the day called Sabab Tujin, Shakyamuni Buddha's descent from Tushita Buddha field. And we all know that it's a working day. So, and also in the evening, usually I think Geshe-la does a Lamrim class at 7:30. So he does not want to cancel that Lamrim class. But the visiting monks from Shastra will be here. And so we will observe the Buddha's descent from Tushita with some prayers. We are not doing sock offering. Prayers and light offerings of butter lamps at 5. So if anybody has a time, you're welcome to that, prayers. But if you don't have, I know it's a working day, you don't have to come for that. And then December 9th, this is like re-announcement. Geshe-la will do the introduction to Nyungne retreat, fasting retreat of Avalokiteshvara at 7:30. December 10th, the next day, actual Nyungne practice of the retreat starts. Fasting retreat starts at 6 a.m. So everybody who is participating in that should be there at TDL at 6. And the following day, December 11, is the second day of the Nyungne retreat. Again, you will meet at 6 in the morning, and you will be there for a whole day, for both days. And December 12, you will meet again at 6 in the morning, and that would be a concluding day, and you will have one session in the morning, and then you will relieve the Nyungne vows. So that's the announcement I have. Now the prayer request. We have, 3 people, who are not feeling well, and their names are Lizzie Hart, Margie Thurman, Harold Fisher, and Susan Shaw's is having surgery. So prayers have been requested for them to recover soon from their surgery and sicknesses. Peter Drucker passed away at age 95, so we have been requested to pray for him as well. And what do I have? And I think Friday, I think there must be a student discussion group that will happen. Will continue at 7:30. No.
우리 샤동고를 저에 잡아도 제가 상예동 가나간도 대라대도 좀 버셔야 되는 샤지 로만의 뱀이 홍 로만의 뱀이 당 알아서 최진이 시비 개위 자올라 때니 산지 템바로 보겠다 지기는 내와쇼 템바지비 템지 제브 담바 아니다 자와 이기노 비체베 리스마 셰페 아 템지 제브 아니 코세 셰베 템바다 투지긴도 다 메밀hun도 용마쇼 아 최종킹게 아니 아 최지쇼 부모는 균디 자와는 있었던 줄 봤다 아니 이제 가면 되다 얘도 민티비가 좋다다 얘니 튼징이 좋다다 메밀hun도 용마쇼
Let us dedicate our merit for the flourishing of Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness throughout the universe. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other great holy masters from all traditions live long and be successful in fulfilling their visions benefiting sentient beings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual goals. May this and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and beings find peace, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality.
Dorna magin senje tamji. 아니 헤드다 니루지 기발에 돈에 산지 공부하는 ಬಗ್ಗೆ 좀 주시기.
In short, we dedicate our collective merit for all kind mother sentient beings to be free from the fears and dangers of two types of mental obscuration, and may we all reach complete enlightened state soon.
Shanchu Senjo Rinpoche Maje Bono Chejuji Cheba Nyamba Me Bhavata Pone Kondo Pevara Sho Toni Tawa Rinpoche Maje Bono Chejuji Cheba Nyamba Me Bhavata Pone Kondo Pevara Sho Kare Ravi Kove Shinkamatara Penda Deva Male Jumene Shere Sawa Tenzin Gyeltsen Shabe Sinte Badu Tenjuro Taye Beje Joshe Meto Chama Tero Tenje Nide Gemon Sanje Shindo Mide Bewayi Dokwe Namda Hinglo Shebara Jo Yidam Guru Rana Mandala Kani Ataya Me Hola. Dinjira.
Loke.
Ta you are.
Lonuske.
We're here, Frank. We're here.